I'm Antandra, and today I'm going to give you a little first glimpse at Ableton Live 9.5, and we'll walk through some of what's new. So right off the bat, you'll notice that as I create new tracks, it color codes them automatically, and if I were to record audio in a new track, it would be the corresponding color of that track. Now this option can be turned off in the preferences right here under look and feel, or you can set a default color. And so now I'm going to look at another new feature. I've made a simple beat here, and if you look at the meters, you'll notice that now we have the peak as well as the RMS level. The RMS would be the perceived volume. It's more of an average, whereas a peak just shows you, well, where it peaks. So you'll notice that with the glue compressor on, the RMS and the peak come pretty close together when I abuse the settings like this. Now if I turn it off, you'll notice that the perceived volume went down and the peak is also higher than the RMS. Notice the difference. There's with it on, and there's with it off. So it's great for mastering and being able to see how much your compression is squishing the sound. And so next off, I'm going to look at the new filters. So I've created a pattern here. Well, beat, bass, and chords. I'm going to throw the new auto filter on the chords that sound like this. Alright, so that's the clean filter, so I believe that's how it always has been. Now here's some of the other filter types that model analog filters. You can turn up the drive there to get some nice subtle distortion on it. You also have this 12 and 24 range. So, well, 12 gives a less steep slope, whereas 24 cuts it off more dramatically. Let's try some of the other filter types. MS2. This Lounge Lizards is a great plugin, by the way, for getting your classic Rhodes sounds, so that's what I'm using for that. Actually came with a MIDI controller that I bought, so I was really lucky. Alright, so we're going to go into the sample, or SMP mode, and then we have the PRD. So yeah, I have the drive cranked pretty high, but there are subtle differences, but if you listen closely you can definitely hear them. Now another new feature is this other filter type, Morph, and that gives you this knob here, and as you turn that you can see it goes from low pass to band pass to high pass to notch. So that's a pretty cool feature. Let's go ahead and bring in the beat and bass. Alright, that's too fun. So now we're going to move right along to the next segment where I'm going to go over the simpler. By the way, those new filters are in the simpler and the sampler as well as the operator. Now the new sampler is pretty awesome. There's the classic mode. So if I were to drop this beat in there, for example, it works a lot like it did in the past. And then I go ahead and play on the keyboard. So there's the beat. You can move the start and end points. And you have this, a lot of the same features as before. You have the number of voices here, retrigger. So what's new is this warp mode. So before, if you played higher pitch keys, it would play faster as well as higher pitch. But now with the warp modes, I could play a high note or a low note, and it plays perfectly in time. So we're all familiar with these different warp modes, I would imagine, unless you're new to Ableton. There's beats that's a good mode for more percussive stuff like this. There is tones, which is good for more like tones, things with a consistent pitch. And there's texture, things with like an inconsistent pitch, or like multi-layered chords and whatnot. Then you have your repitch, so that's a lot like when you don't have a warp mode on, or if you change the tempo, it'll actually go to a higher pitch. And then there's complex, which is good for doing mixed down material, and complex pro, which is good for doing mixed down material with vocals, because you can change these formants settings. So the thing about the complex ones is they do take up more CPU, but you know, you win some, you lose some. So you can warp this to 2 bars just by hitting this button. If you know your loop's 2 bars, you can half it or double it. So there's some cool settings there. And then, yeah, we're familiar with the filter and LFO settings from the original one as well. Now the one-shot mode is really interesting. If I just press a key, it will play the sample from beginning to end if it's in trigger mode. And if I switch to gate, then it'll only play the sample as long as I'm holding the key. And with the snap enabled, it will snap to a 0 point instead of, you know, getting those clicks and pops that may be undesirable depending on what your purpose is. So yeah, that's a neat setting there. Now the really fun one is slice. And in this mode, you can change the sensitivity, which adds more or less slices, and it will automatically lay out your sounds across the keyboard. So you just got to find what octave they're on. There we go. So now I can play all the individual sounds from the loop on the keyboard and restructure it. Yeah, you get the idea, and that's really cool. You can also do the warp modes in that mode, which is awesome. And if I remember right, yeah, there's these fade in and fade out knobs. So you can change the attack of the samples and the decay. Smooth them out. You can also transpose. And the volume, or the velocity, I guess. This is the volume here, so yeah, I'm using the QWERTY keyboard, but if you had a MIDI controller, then lower velocities would be softer and the higher ones would be louder. So yeah, there's some other controls which I'm yet to explore, but let you dive in there. Now there's a few other features I wanted to cover. I just re-upgraded my Korg plugin. Let's see. So we covered the simpler, and there's the coloring, peak and RMS, the modeled filters. There's some more sounds, samples, and drums, and there's new max synths for you Max users. And there's also this new plugin, or it's a new app I should say, called Link, that allows you to MIDI sync over your wireless network. So that's amazing, because it's always been a big problem for people trying to collaborate with multiple computers to have everything play in time and get the MIDI clocks to work together properly. And now with Link, it should just be a snap. Also, they came out with the Push 2, which is very exciting. So yeah, if you zoom in on WAV files, it also looks a lot cleaner. And this actually pops out now too, which is amazing. So you can zoom in and get a really close look. You can even move the slices around. So yeah, I give their upgrade 5 stars. It's awesome that they made it free, and I'm stoked. Really looking forward to seeing what other Easter eggs I stumble upon in here. So thanks a lot, and until next time, I'm Antandra. Check out my website, rate and subscribe, and yeah, keep on making music.